Alina.
Welcome in, Paul Catalina and Pierre Nugent. Pierre, did you get to go to the Timberwolves game in LA this week?
No. Unfortunately not. My hope was that we would be there. That unfortunately did not happen. So I'm gonna have to wait till Game 3 to get a front row seat to this series.
Okay, because I'll just tell you, starting out, we don't watch in my house a lot of regular season NBA. Occasionally It's on, we'll put it on, but because the glory days of everybody plays every game are far behind us, quite often when I turn on a game in the regular season, I'm like, oh, hey, this could be a good one. And it's be like, no, you're going to see both teams have it's like they collude together and be like, hey, look, if we don't play our guys, will you not play your guys tonight? We're both on back-to-back nights. And, come on. Oh, good plan. Good deal. Yeah. I mean, we'll fight it out with our guys. But, if the ones that people pay to see why we're on television with this gigantic contract and why people bought these tickets, if they'll just, give a couple camera shots of them sitting in a suit on the sidelines, that'll be fine. That's all they care about. They just want to see their face. They don't want to watch them shoot a basketball. So that's what bothers me about the regular season is that there's, it's just wonky, right?
That's why I feel blessed to cover a guy like Anthony Edwards, who has an absolute desire to play every single game. And that's something that, you can't really say about every single superstar in the NBA. But Anthony Edwards is a joy to cover. And I will say, for the record, I did feel like load management was down this year. I didn't notice it as much this year as in years prior. But when you're talking about a guy like Kawhi Leonard, who needs that load management because his knee seems to be absolutely falling apart, can only play 40 games this season, I get it from that standpoint. But yeah, you're right. It's not the way it used to be, where guys strived to play 82 games a year. That league doesn't exist anymore in my mind.
Yeah, no, when I was a kid watching any game, and look, WGN had the Bulls and they were on every cable company in the world. So I watched, probably 50 Bulls games a year.
Yeah.
And I watched 40 Knicks games a year, and I watched the Magic every night, all of that when I was growing up in Florida. So, it was better. It was good. And so I don't turn it on until the playoffs, because the playoffs are exciting. They're genuinely great. We have, they're really fun to watch. And is this going on just on my screen where I'm losing Pierre and me for every couple of seconds?
I mean, you should be up there.
Okay. No, I mean, it's like rebooting on the screen. So anyway, Andrew, check that out. Sorry. Anyway, I'm just worried about what's going on my monitor.
I see you just fine, for the record.
Okay. Good. Because I was losing us both for a sec. But it's better. And so actually, I believe the first one we got to turn on Saturday was that Lakers and Timberwolves game, which, dear God, that's the first time I've ever seen LeBron look old. It really was. And he's 40 and he's still playing, near the top of his game, but the Timberwolves were just everywhere. They were just everywhere all the time. And I know they're not going to make that many threes again and, the percentages, but they certainly, even though they're the 6th seed compared to the 3, look like they are they're just swarming all around, is where the Lakers look discombobulated.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And this year, more than any other year, I think of seasons past, if you look at the NBA playoff bracket, especially in the West, seeds don't really matter all that much, with the exception of Oklahoma City. There was 1 or 2 games separating 3rd from 8th by the end of the season. Maybe it was 3. This thing was just a dog race from the All-Star break all the way to the end of the regular season. So I would tell people not to pay so much to seeding in the Western Conference. And I know this is an instance where I know I didn't go on air publicly saying it, but you talk to anybody that I spoke with, and I said the Timberwolves are going to win this series in 6 games. Everybody wants to just look at the paper. They see LeBron, they see Luka, they see the Lakers. They automatically think that entitles them to a first-round exit no matter the opponent. But I'm thinking to myself, clearly you guys have not watched the Timberwolves the last 25 games of the season. because they have been absolutely sensational and are on a great run, seem to have found their footing, albeit later than I'm sure they would have liked to. But I still believe that the Timberwolves are going to win this series. I really do.
Yeah, and look, you are lucky to cover Anthony Edwards. He is so much fun to watch. He is and again, like, he's one of those guys that, like, there are any era guys. There's certain guys that wouldn't have like they fit today's game more than because of body style or like their skill set. They fit today's game. LeBron's an any era guy, right? Like, he's going to work in any era. Anthony Edwards is an any era guy. Like, any point during the NBA's history, Anthony Edwards can adapt and play that style of basketball, which is why he's one of my favorite players to watch. I just love him. Plus, he has more fun out there. Like, I don't know, like, he takes it seriously and still knows it's fun. It's weird. Like, he's got the good balance of, man, I'm having a blast playing basketball. This is awesome. But he's not like, I don't know. He's not Ja Morant. That's what I'm saying. Like, he understands he's got a good balance.
He has always had, ever since he stepped into the league, he has had like this youthful innocence about him that has not really left him.
That's far.
So much forgiveness. Wait, did you say forgiveness like far or forgiveness like forgiveness? Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Forgiveness.
I'm hearing far.
Forgiveness. Like forgiveness. Forgiveness? Forgiveness.
I'm still hearing far, but whatever.
Introducing Stealth 2 with more carbon for more forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Just hit it.
Even though this is his 5th year in the league, but I've never seen a guy more comfortable in his own skin than Anthony Edwards. And that's a huge compliment to him, right? In all honesty, that you can't really say that too much about people, but
there's nobody more sensitive to anything than NBA players.
Yeah, for the most part, yes. I mean, they have traditionally been the athletes who tend to be a little bit more sensitive than others that I've covered in my experience. But he, for better or worse, Anthony Edwards is himself, and you're always going to get that version of him night in and night out, whether it's on the basketball court or off the basketball court. And anybody who hasn't watched Anthony Edwards play, I think you like what you see. I think he's the type of talent that draws in the casual viewer. I think he's that good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Pierre, it was Easter weekend.
Happy belated birthday, by the way, my friend.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Well, it was great. I got to tell you, it was, I'm 45 now. I'm 45, which I'm halfway to 50, like in this decade. I know I'm more than halfway to 50. I was halfway to 50 20 years ago, but I'm halfway to 50 inside the 40s. Right. And, so it's like each second that passes, like I am further away from 40 than I am from 50. Like, once that happened on Saturday, like there was a time where it was even. And then the first second that passed, it was over. Right. So I really got to capitalize on these next 5 years before, because I would like to be before I start, because I know that people don't believe this because I'm 45, but there's no dye here. Like, I have very few gray hairs. Occasionally I'll get one in the beard. I don't have much salt and pepper up here in the hair. I have I saw a bunch of friends from high school back in November. We went to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and it was great. And they were all like, "How in the world do you not have gray hair?" I said, "I don't know. Like, I've got every other problem." But that, that's like the one thing God was like, you know what? We're going to make him struggle with his weight. He's going to be like up and down and up and down and up and down. And he's going to be like athletic enough to compete, but not good enough. And, but at least, he's not going to be like a starter all the time, but he'll have gumption and he'll know about sports. But he really ultimately, when high school's over, so is his athletic career. But you know what? No gray hairs. So you're welcome.
I think at the age of 45 too, it's a lot harder, or maybe it isn't. I don't know. Maybe you can answer this for me, but I would, if it was me, it would be very hard not to focus on what I don't have anymore at 45 than what I maybe still do have at 45. So
I'll tell you, I don't care anymore about like, I just wanted like, and there are some, I forgot to tell you this, but there are some new things coming with this podcast, including a name change and some, production things. And we're going to shut it down for the summer and retool until we move to the new studio.
Okay.
So you'll have some time to, to build up for your next appearance, but we are retooling. And so I used to think of things, especially because I came up in the comedy world, which is ultra competitive. And not competitive in a way of like, you're like, there's any kind of rankings or anything like that. Like, it's just, and that world is way better now too, because there's much more, this is the avenue of all that stuff. So like, I think we're living, at least for what we do, in a golden age of being able to do kind of more what you want and finding your audience a little bit better. So I'm just grateful that I can do that now, as opposed to kind of having to do somebody else's show and like put little like sprinkles of my personality on it. Like, what's the Salt Bay, like that's what I have to do. Like before I'll tell you, when I first started, I did a show called Hall of Fame Sports Talk with Steve Fallon, who's one of my first mentors. And he taught me a lot of things. You probably met Steve when you were here. He ran the Texas Sports Hall of Fame at the time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So Steve gave me, I couldn't have asked for a better, like, first person to do a show with, because he really took an interest in me getting better. And then when he left the show, I was able to do, like, I thought, okay, well, now it's my show, because, I've got a co-host who is Vince Erickson, who's still a great friend of mine, who was at Channel 25 at the time as a sports anchor. Jerry Hill did Fridays with me. I love, Jerry and I hug every time we see each other, like one of my great friends in the business. But at first I was going to try to do the show completely opposite of how Tom and Butch were doing their show in the afternoon. And I was told very much by management that no, you're going to do our show our way, and you can have ideas and you can do things that you think are fun, but this is not Paul's show. This is KRZI's show. Uh-huh. And it was hard in the first part of that, and then Smokey came along, and and this was great because the shows worked out well. We're still working together all this time, but it was never like, go do Paul's thing. Right. And so now I can do all of it. I can do my thing with Smokey and Craig, which we all love. Some days more than others, but we still love it, and now you can just do things. So I'm not chasing anybody now. Like, when I see somebody succeed, I'm just like, oh, that's cool. How do they do it? I can either like it or not like it. Like, it can not be my thing, but I remember thinking when I was a young comedian, like, oh, that guy's not funny. I saw him, or I'm funnier than this guy, or whatever. And you're like, you know what? Like, here's the goal. You get up on stage with that microphone and you tell jokes and people laugh. And if more people laugh than don't, then you win. Okay. And then you move on. And so as long as you do it the right way and don't stab people in the back on your way up the top, it's just like anything else. Like, do good work and good things will happen. And that, it takes you a while in life to get to that point. But I'll tell you, at 45, I'm more in the, I could give a shit less about, all right, there are college football shows that I think our show is as good as, if not better at times out there, that we do things maybe a little bit different or better. But we don't have, to this point, the distribution, or we hadn't had the backing with the new company. I think we're getting it for sure, all the things that are happening, but I don't look at them and be like, if they weren't on CBS, they wouldn't be any good. Like, no, they're on CBS because they're good. They're good. And then a company said, we would like to back you. Like, that's how success works. So instead of being mad about it, just, go in. Now, look, do I wish that things at ESPN were different and that it wasn't the sports shouting world? Yeah, I wish it wasn't. I miss the old days, but sitting there going why do they keep paying Stephen A. Smith? He makes the money. It's not hard to figure out why they're doing it. Is it what we like? No, but we're clearly not the portion of the populace that they care about like we're subscribed to ESPN anyway, right?
Yeah.
We got to watch games. So yeah, I mean, it just, yeah, I have, as you get older, Pierre, you know this, you're in your 40s now. I just don't I don't have the energy for pettiness. It's just like, all right, well, you know.
Yeah, and all of us who have been in the business before, we've certainly have hit that point at one point or another in our careers at the beginning where we're like, we think we're better than this person or that person, or how did this person or that person get that opportunity? That's always happened. That's happened throughout the history of time. It's not just limited to the broadcast industry too. It's at any point of anybody's career, I'm sure. But yeah, there does reach a point where you're like, oh, okay, well, you know, that person got that job. Good for them, I guess. But them getting a job that you feel you're more qualified for doesn't help you get there any faster. It's something that you just have to accept and move on. And that's something that all of us in the business have encountered at some point or another. No doubt about it.
Oh yeah. And look, I've watched people come through here and I like, you know, some of the most talented people have gotten the best jobs. And then sometimes there are people who, when they were here, I felt they were awful and they still wound up they're better now, but they wound up getting better jobs before I thought they were ready. But it wasn't A, me hiring them, and B, they hustled. They hustled and got that job. And yeah, were they good at it? You know, there was two people who came through here in particular. I would be like, oh, really? If they were looking for somebody from Waco, I know 4 of their guys that are better at the news. I'm just saying, not that these guys won't be good one day, but they're not good now, you know. But it's just how it is. In my role as an amateur news consultant, I felt I think here's what I would like to do. I would like to go in. Just bring me when the consultants come to your station, the real ones who get paid. I mean, when they bring these people in, they're not doing it for minimum wage. They're paying them a lot of money. In fact, there's probably guys in master control that want to punch them in the kidneys because they're like, I don't get a raise every other year because you guys have to pay these clowns to tell you how to do the news. That's how it works. So I would like to come in and I will take 1/4 of what they're paying them. And then I will sit and listen to their ideas. And then I'll get up without a PowerPoint presentation or anything. I won't do anything. I'm just going to wing it and be like, these are the stupid things that they've said. You know, we're not going to do the sports promo where you throw the ball around to all the guys.
Yeah.
You know what? Your weatherman, he's got this little quirk. We're going to ride that until people so people go, okay, you know, Tom is the weather guy who also cooks. So we're going to have him cooking and doing the weather. That's what we're doing. We're not going to pretend hey, our weather guy, well, we really care about you and your safety. Yeah, they all do. There's not a weather guy out there that's you know what? The people of Cleveland are assholes, and I'm not going to tell them when it's going to snow.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm, not to get too deep in the weeds about it too, but what I will say about my relationship with consultants is I try to keep my relationship with them at a very, 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 very large minimum, if I may.
Yeah.
Also, the one thing I'll say alongside of that, I find it very interesting that the stuff that consultants like to talk about have not changed for 20 to 25 years. And yet we reached the determination that we're going to take their word, the people who aren't necessarily in the business, we're going to take their word for what works and not trust our own people, or we're going to fire people who have been there for a long time and then still have talent. And we're going to go with this vision. And 3 years down the line, when I could have told you that vision won't work, it doesn't work, and yet they do the whole thing all over again. It's just a fascinating process to me in television.
I feel that everything should be bespoke to the market and the station.
Yeah.
I think that's how you should do things. Coming in here and telling us how to do podcasts, giving us ideas of hey, here's where you guys need to do, these things work for you in this world. Do more of these. That's something we need to hear. Here's what works. Here's what people are responding to that. But here's what works in here. Okay. And what I'll tell you about, and you've lived all over the country too. what works in Sacramento and what works in Minneapolis and what works in Waco and works in Miami and what works in Atlanta are almost all different things.
Completely.
Like, all different things across all media markets and all that. But they come in and be like, we had really good success with this in Dover, Delaware. And you're like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, good for Dover. Like, this is a different city than Dover, Delaware. Or do you guys just stay in Courtyard by Marriott so much everything looks the same? You know, like, that's
my question. That's been my question in the past, no doubt.
Yeah. A lot of them feel like, hey, we went to Dover and we ate at a Chili's, and then we went to Sacramento and we ate at a Chili's. And it was a different Chili's because the door was on the other side. So it really tripped us out than the one in Dover. And then when we went to Texarkana, their Chili's was actually in Longview, so we had to drive. But man, like, it's like, guys, there's all these different things, and you have to. I remember when I was doing country radio, and I wasn't on country radio. I was just programming it. It was what you call the jack format. It was 105.9 George FM, where it's just all music. And occasionally you had some voice trackers. But for the most part, it was just little slice of life things that I had to write too. I had to write like little country, like, George says, don't get any of that VTEX barbecue in your forehead. You'll beat your brains out with your tongue trying to get at it. Things like that. My dad, who was very Texas, was very helpful in this regard. I would just write down things that he said, and he would drive out and listen to the station. He'd be like, "Hey," I was like, "Yeah, sorry, you're what I have here, man. I gotta pull this." And so the company. At the time, we were owned by a company out of Utah, and they would like, well, this doesn't play in Salt Lake City. I'm like, yeah, they also don't drink beer in Salt Lake City. In Texas, we have a whole genre of country all to ourselves, like red dirt Texas country that is different. And you guys probably don't listen to it as much in Utah because those acts don't get booked, right? You're not booking Roger Kreger and Kevin Fowler and Pat Green all that much, but like here, when people go out to concerts, that's who they go see. So we should play those songs on the radio. And the guy was like, no, that's not what we do. No.
Yeah,
we pay a consultant. His name is Larry. He lives in Baltimore, Maryland. He's the best in the business, and that's why we pay him $425,000 a year. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, can I be Larry's assistant? Like triple my salary, and I'll just be like, what's doing well? This song that Billboard told us about. Like, all I'll do is read Billboard magazine, and you can pay me $100,000 a year.
Yeah,
like that's.
No, I definitely went in the wrong profession because consultants, whether their ideas work or not, it doesn't matter. They still get paid. They can just come into a room and say whatever it is they want or what you guys should be doing and shouldn't be doing. And even if you take the suggestion of what they believe you think should be doing, and it fails miserably, and I have been in an environment exactly like that, it doesn't matter. You'll still get paid. For some reason, like it's somebody else's fault. It's not the fault of the person who actually conceived the notion of what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Can you tell you touched a nerve here with me a little bit?
I do, which is why Paul Catalina Consulting. I'll even bring Andrew. Andrew's good with technical stuff, so like I'll just have him sit there with a laptop and work something up as I say it and turn around and be like, "See, I didn't even prepare for this. You guys are listen. 25% of what they're making, you just give it to me, and that's what we'll do." All over the country. I'll just pop in and be like, all right, well, you know what? Here's what I know about Pierre. Pierre's a very opinionated gentleman. He really enjoys covering hockey. He has a true expertise in that. We're gonna like shove him out to hockey as much as we can because he's got a really good expertise in it, and we're gonna make sure that like when it's hockey, it's Pierre, and when it's the Vikings, it's Pierre, or when it's the Twins, you know what? We've got another guy who just he knows the single A player in Fort Myers so well, like. He's going to take his vacation. He's going to go down there and watch them. That's what he does. He's obsessed. We're going to put that guy on the Twins. Yep. And we're going to do that. And we're not going to do that. Like, and when the news people say like, hey, I've got a news story, like, yeah, pitch it to that guy. Yeah. He'll do it. Yeah. He'll do it. And you know what you'll do? You will be our reporter on the scene at the watch party when it's out of town. That's what you can do. But you're not taking our precious 4 minutes. In fact, I'm taking a minute from you. They're going to be 5 minutes minimum, and you can sit on that. Okay.
Sounds like a newsroom meeting that I've already had many a time.
Yeah, and here's what I have to do. Like, listen, the next time you come to me with a story about a lady with that saw Jesus in her grilled cheese, you shut the fuck up and get out of here.
Yeah. That sounds about right to me.
You know what you do? You can only get on the air if when you go to record that story and she shows it, you eat that shit. You say, thanks for the grilled cheese, you dunk it in some soup, and you get out of there. All right.
I would be all for it. I'd be all for it.
Yeah.
Just to see the meltdown of everybody saying he ate the Jesus grilled cheese. Unbelievable. Can you believe he ate the Jesus grilled cheese?
Yeah. That guy's going to be a reporter on the scene. You know, when I was in Tampa, I love when you and I talk about this. And right now, since we're like going to shut this down in a couple weeks, I don't really care what we talk about on the show.
Yeah, sure.
The other day, Garrett got me sidetracked.
Oh, he ranted for an hour, bro.
On an hour-long rant about old radio stories. And it was one of the better shows I think I've ever done.
It was fun.
Probably.
Yeah. And
probably.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like those things should not but when I was living in Tampa, Aaron Andrews' dad was I want to say it was Bay News 9. It could have been another one, but he was the reporter that would go and ambush people kind of that were doing shady things.
Yeah.
So if you were a slumlord or if you were doing bad business.
Gotcha. Yeah,
the gotcha,
what are you doing here?
The thing is that I know a lot of people say gotcha journalism is bad, but here's the thing: in local municipalities like that, in local markets, a lot of times none of these guys just show up. They've asked and asked and asked and asked for comment, and they're like, all right, well, if you deny me, a comment 4 or 5 times, we know where the business is. We're just going to go and wait, and then we're going to ask you and make you look bad when you could have been like, well, I'll attend to that, and all that. Because usually what happens is they go and they catch them, and then they'll release a statement after, and then they'll be like, well, the manner in which, and then you guys will be like, well, we did reach out for content 7 times before we had to get an answer on the story. But I can't remember what his first name was. I know, his name's Andrews. I'm going to say Mike Andrews or, whatever it was. But he was the dude that would go and get people. And it was my favorite part of the news because he was the best at it because he was so amazingly professional. And most people liked him, except when the guy would turn around from his car, he'd be like, oh, damn it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then because look, the great saying about Florida is it's a sunny place for shady people.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. I was telling somebody this weekend about how, here in Texas, they teach Texas history. So, and now I'm sure they're, trying to
banning it.
They're trying to take out the ugly parts, but for a long time, they're listen, this is how this happened. Not all of it is great, but you learn from that. Well, Florida never did that because if you look at their history, it's not good. It starts with the conquistadors coming and being like, oh, we're going to find a magic fountain, and then when they're like, hey, no magic fountain, but these people seem to be in the way. And they're like, yeah, just get rid of them. And then, so they did that. And then for a while, there was really nothing down here, and then they were like, hey, people seem to want to move down that area. And they're like, yeah, but there's people there. And they're like, yeah, make them walk to Oklahoma. So they did that. And then they're like, okay, so we're going to buy up this land. We're going to sell it. Who's going to buy it? The mob. So then there was that. There's not really when you go back through how Florida happened, none of it's really all that triumphant. It's all pretty bad. It's all pretty bad. And then
I choose to focus on the present, not so much
exactly.
the past.
But
it's that's the thing. It's well, we're at this point now. Whatever happened before we got to this point doesn't really have much to do with me. I got to be honest. So it's
yeah, I get it. I mean, it's fine, but I mean, again, the unconquered Seminole tribe, they never did lose a war, but they were made to walk to Oklahoma, a great number of them.
Yeah. Long walk.
Yeah. And here's the thing, that was the nicest thing that the American government ever did to Native Americans. It's like, well, just you can walk, we don't massacre you, but walk. Where are you walking to? Oh, it's a long way, man.
Yeah.
It is a long way. 100 years from now, people are going to have to drive it just like tip to tip and hate the drive.
Yeah.
Like people in Tulsa are going to go to Destin for their vacation and be like, oh, God, it's a long way.
Like, well, consider your blessings you're not walking to Oregon, because I got to tell you, in 100 years from now, they're going to make this video game that's going to make you wish that thank goodness we only had to go to Oklahoma. Thank God. I got to tell you.
Yeah. Trailer Tears, I don't think would have sold as well.
No.
I really don't. I don't think it would have. I don't think it would have. Oregon Trail is where you learn, you know what? There was you played Oregon Trail, but we didn't have the internet really.
Yeah.
So all of these things, like these diseases you would die of, I had no idea about them. Yeah. And then one day my buddy and I, we had to go to the library to do another project. And I said, hey, do you know what dysentery is? And he's like, no, I just know that you die of it in Oregon Trail. So we looked up all the diseases and we were like, oh man,
yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's a horrible way to die. You read the disease and you're like, oh yeah, I would again. And so if my people died, I always wanted to be fording the river. I did not want, after that, I was like, look, if we're going to go out, we're going to go out like rock stars fording this river. We're not going to crap ourselves to death with dysentery. That's not how we die.
It's funny that you mentioned that too, because now that you think about it, when you go back and think about the times you played in that game, it's like, I didn't really get the full dysentery experience from that game. Just suddenly someone was dead of dysentery, but I didn't get the full kind of understanding. And now that I've read it in a book, my God, this game is dark.
All right. So let me look up the diseases you would die from.
There was dysentery. There was, God, what else was there? Was Scarlet Fever one? No, Scarlet Fever, I don't think it was one.
Okay, hold on. Okay, dysentery.
Yeah.
Cholera.
Yes, cholera, yes.
Typhoid fever.
Mm-hmm.
Measles. Making a comeback, people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just for Oregon Trail anymore.
No, bring it back.
Sure.
Smallpox. Diphtheria. Snake bite.
Yeah, I remember the snake bite.
Yeah. And then they called it mountain fever in the game, but it's altitude sickness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so man,
that's a lot. That was more than I thought there would be, to be honest.
Yeah, no, there were so it's
cholera, not another one that just, not for me.
No,
not for me.
It's a highly contagious bacterial infection that can lead to severe diarrhea, dehydration, and death.
Yeah.
Dysentery is pretty much the same thing.
Right. Right.
Typhoid fever, a little bit different, so.
What they say, what's old is new again. And in the unfortunate case of the measles, I'd prefer to leave that in the past if we could. If
no.
At home, please, let's do our part to make sure measles stay in the past.
Yeah. So,